What's going on, guys? Carmine here, back to discuss House of the Dragon Episode 7, and a little on later we'll go into why I believe HBO dropped the ball on one of the best opportunities it's had in quite some time. Let's get to it. Before that, this video was brought to you by Established Titles. If you're watching this, then chances are you like Game of Thrones, and you've probably heard the characters call each other lords and ladies 1,000 times already. Well, now's your chance to be one yourself. With Established Titles, you can buy a 1 square foot plot of land over in Scotland, and once you do, they'll send you an official certificate with a crest and plot number to see the exact location of your land, and with this, you can actually do as laird, lord, or lady on your credit card, passports, and even that spicy Tinder profile. You can even get one for your pets like I did, and now she is officially a lady. But that's not all, because Established Titles plants a tree with every order and works with global charities such as One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. And the really cool thing about all of this is that it makes for an excellent gift for that Game of Thrones fan in your life. Seriously, it'd be a great gift for your wife or your wife's husband or even your wife's husband's boyfriend. So head on over to the description below and click my special link or use my code RedTeam to get 10% off your official title today. And you better hurry, because the first 200 people to use my link will get a plot of land right next to mine so we can be land buddies together. So head on over to the description below and click my special link or use my code RedTeam to get 10% off your official title today. Once again, that's establishedtitles.com/RedTeam or use my code RedTeam to get an additional 10% off your official title today. And thank you to them for sponsoring this video. So first, let's get this out of the way. I really enjoyed Episode 7, mostly because we had a lot of good moments this time around between characters. Viserys and Alicent was pretty good, Rhaenyra and Daemon was spicy, and even Laenor, I think, walked away as my favorite character so far in the show. If anything, we just had a lot of really good character moments in this episode, specifically with Alicent and her children, who I would argue are the most interesting parts of the show since the time skip. I would say my favorite scene was the standoff between Alicent and Rhaenyra, but for the most part, this was a very solid episode. I really enjoyed most of what we got, even if I did have some issues seeing some of the scenes at night. Before you guys get on my case for that, I do have some problems with my vision, and watching it with all the lights turned off didn't really help that much, so hopefully they fix that going forward. I also saw that a lot of people were complaining about the incest stuff between Rhaenyra and Daemon, and well, yeah, this is Targaryen history and a lot of it is drenched in gross incest. So better get used to that right now, especially if the show goes beyond the Dance of Dragons Civil War. But for the most part, this was a very solid and enjoyable episode with lots of good moments throughout. That being said, in my non-spoiler review, I talked about how the show has been doing this weird thing of removing scenes that I would argue are crucial to several plot points, and it feels like they did that here again. First and foremost, this is a funeral for Arryn and Velaryon, and somehow Otto Hightower is invited? I mean, yeah, I guess I can buy that, but he's somehow Hand of the King again? Now, I'm not saying I can't believe this sudden shift from Viserys into making him Hand, but I would have liked to have seen the moment where Viserys calls on him to come back and serve again. If there was any reconciliation between these two, I would have liked to have seen it on screen, or if anything, a scene of Alicent convincing the king to let her father back on the small council, which would have helped quite a few storylines. If she has some secret power of convincing Viserys to do certain things, which we've kind of seen evidence of this throughout the time skip, then it would have made more sense that Christian Cole is still around after killing Joffrey Lonmouth and endangering the princess's life on her wedding night. Alicent having much sway in the king's court beyond the normal powers afforded to her should be shown, because it helps illustrate how dangerous she can be for Rhaenyra, even with a small amount of power. And on the topic of Alicent and the Hightowers, they are officially referred to as the Green Faction, which falls in line with the books. The Dance of Dragons Civil War is usually categorized as the Green Faction versus the Black Faction, as weird as that sounds, and it's mostly because of the color of the dresses these two women wear. Okay. But calling them Greens seems to be a little on the nose and comes out of nowhere, because in the books, it's just the name of their faction that seems to catch on from other people who call them that. Rhaenyra all of a sudden calling her that feels like there was a scene in here somewhere of someone calling them the Greens and Rhaenyra overhearing it. And I'll admit, this is a minor nitpick, but I would have liked to have a scene of a non-affiliated character referring to them as the Greens and the Black Faction, which the casting change for House Velaryon is going to make the whole Black Faction real awkward when that goes down. Like, I know Ryan Condal is staying true to the books as much as he can, and I appreciate that, but I'm a little surprised he didn't change that part, but we'll have to see how that goes in. And on the topic of changing things, Laenor is alive, and that's not really in line with the books, but I don't hate this. If anything, I'm really interested in seeing where we go from this whole change and how he'll ever come back into the story, but I guess he's just gone for now, like Gendry and Rickon were for Game of Thrones until they need him again. If anything, I'm a little curious as to why they changed it, and the whole process of faking this, I don't know, like, it seems the change was done to make Rhaenyra more sympathetic, pathetic, because Laenor is a wholesome character and I love that, and the whole scene of him and Rhaenyra together solidified him as one of the morally good characters on the show, so that essentially makes her a terrible person for ordering his death. But at the same time, did she know that Laenor's death would be faked, or was this a last added addition to the plan by Daemon or Carl? Because Daemon has no problems killing off someone to advance further in station, so was Laenor's fake out his idea, or was that Carl Corey's idea to let Laenor in on the plan and change it up so they can both run away? I have no idea, and I kinda like how vague it is, because it lets the fandom argue over how much of an awful person she really is. But is she really? Did she set Laenor free, or did she expect him to actually die? And what about Laenor's dragon? They're supposed to be bonded for life. Someone in another comment section said that it's possible that your bond to your dragon kind of works like a Bluetooth connection, and only really works depending on how close to each other you actually are. But once again, I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fairly well done, minus the night scenes, and everyone was at the top of their game again. My one wish is that they wouldn't move certain scenes around to paint Rhaenyra in a better light in comparison to Alicent's group. I also hope they stop removing certain scenes that were supposed to be in this, because they do help illustrate the characters a lot more, and quite honestly, I'm paying for this content. I would like to see everything they shoot, even the stuff they think is boring and wouldn't fit, because to me, I'll take it all either way. And before we wrap this up, I did want to discuss one piece of news that came out a while back on how HBO had a chance to secure the rights to Lord of the Rings and somehow messed it up to where Amazon got the rights to it. Now, you're probably wondering, well, Amazon's got a lot of money, so of course they'd win, right? Actually, no. The reason Amazon got the rights to make anything in that world is because they had the least shittiest idea. Netflix, of course, wanted to do some Avengers/Marvel style team-up with standalone spin-offs for Gandalf and Aragorn and so on, which apparently freaked out the Tolkien estate, and rightly so, and they said no. But here you have HBO coming in with their own bad idea on remaking the original Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. Now, first off, those films are perfect. I don't use that word lightly, but it's true in this case. There is no other film trilogy in the world that is as amazing from beginning to end as The Lord of the Rings is. Even Star Wars and Godfather, which I love, they have their own issues in their own trilogy, but Lord of the Rings? No. Peter Jackson has forever instilled himself as the Lord of adaptations, and then somehow removed himself from that by fucking up The Hobbit. But HBO, what the hell were you guys thinking? What were they even do differently, other than add nudity and random characters that don't belong, of course? At this point, I don't think I trust any streaming service to faithfully adapt anything anymore after the Witcher and Rings of Power fiasco we're dealing with right now. And I'm especially disappointed in HBO here for coming up with the worst idea and losing out a chance to own two of one of the best fantasy series of all time. They have Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones / House of the Dragon, and now all they needed was Lord of the Rings and they'd be set. Come on, guys, you were the chosen one. What the fuck, man? But guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, leave your thoughts down below. I may feature it in my next video. Also, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps out the channel. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.